Hello viewers, welcome to this program that comes to you every Thursday, 8 to 9, courtesy of Crike. And today we have a neighbor team. Mr. Kamore is here. He's a counseling, sir.
Yes.
Psychologist?
Yes, as a counseling psychologist.
Okay, and yes. We're going to have a very important discussion. And we are focusing on effect of COVID-19 to the business community, specifically on entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Because this crisis has been on, and people thought it would be over in the first year. It is getting to its second year, and things not seem to be, getting better in the area of this pandemic. Mm-hmm. We are getting more cases all over the world. We have. Like now we have this lockdown in the 5 counties, and it has really affected business community. And what the financial institutions had promised is like they removed those, what do you call them? There was some, they had brought in some remedy or interventions just to cushion on loans, people who had been given loans to do business. And some of them were even given more time to repay those loans. And it's like those time limits are now being removed because of course, the prevailing economic conditions. And now, of course, banks and other circles cannot continue with these incentives because of the condition. Of course, some of them will close down. And people are suffering, Mr. Kamore.
Yes.
Businesses are closing down. Some people have lost their jobs and employment and livelihoods. Their recommendation by IMF to scale down or to reduce the number of workforce, especially in the universities. And they give a list, a number of universities were listed. One of them is KU here. And they think they have excess workforce and they need to reduce. And of course, these measures will have a negative or far-reaching impact on mental health. Now, I want you as an expert, because you are coming as mitigator, you are mitigating, you are offering solution, you are bringing interventions so that our people don't go mad or don't get depressed and don't get sick and things like that. Now, what is the situation, Mr. Kamore?
Now, thank you for your good question. I want to say that this is a very interesting topic. Personally, I'm also an entrepreneur. And I want to say that entrepreneurship has its ups and downs. And though people are trying to survive, it is a reality that is undisputed that entrepreneurship is challenging. And it has impact on our health, because that is where we are coming from. And it is critically important that entrepreneurs in our contemporary society operate in a state of good mental health. Because, entrepreneurship, from my own understanding, involves a lot of mental activity. You require a lot, you require a lot of peace. You require a lot of mental, peace to be able to think and create and maneuver your enterprises. And therefore, I want to say that entrepreneurship requires an individual to have a very sober and healthy mind. That's why the mental health is very important. You have used the word madness. Allow me to start from there. That we have to make our people understand that mental health is not the same as mental illness. Okay? So from the World Health Organization defines health as a complete state of physical, mental, social well-being. And under the social, I think that's where we also have the spiritual aspect, because I've seen you have talked about the spiritual dimension. And therefore, from this definition of well-being, it means that everybody has health. The only difference, Mr. Mutua, it is either it is good health or poor health. And you see, we cannot talk about good health without mental health. And I think that is where we are coming from. So mental health is that state of mental well-being. And it covers our emotions. It covers our thoughts. I hope you are getting those areas that we are exploring. It covers our feelings. It covers our ability to solve problems and also overcome difficulties of our social connections, and eventually our ability to understand the world surrounding us. Can you see what mental health is coming? And that's why counseling is very important. That the business people have emotions, they have thoughts, they have feelings, and they should have the ability to solve problems. Like now, we are in COVID-19 crisis. A lot of problems are there, starting from the home, going to deal with the workers, the employees that we have employed, dealing with even difficult clients in the business, and even sometimes financial crisis. Because when you look at the challenges of entrepreneurs, there are very many. Probably I can just mention, just to create some insight, we have financial crisis. So your ability to solve your financial crisis is very important at this particular time, either in the way you adjust to the life or how you are going to maneuver your financial situations. The entrepreneurs have to, sometimes they deal with difficult clients. Sometimes probably if you're in a business, you have given people items and they have not been able to pay back, and yet they expect your business to grow, and yet they themselves they don't have money. Those are difficult clients, and sometimes they can give you a lot of stress. And when you are stressed, then we say your mental health is at risk. You are vulnerable.
So basically, the issue of mental health is not removing the trigger. In this case of COVID-19, in the context of the COVID-19,
yes,
that client that is not cooperative, that environment where it's not within your control, like it's a crisis, a general crisis, a global problem. So your part in this management of this crisis with regard to this entrepreneur is not to tell him to fly away from the problem,
yes,
but to help him and to acquire the coping capabilities or skills. That's now your role.
Yes, we see what we are saying here. When you are in a crisis, the first step toward healing is accepting that this crisis exists. You cannot keep on denying the reality of COVID-19 and the way it really impacting on us as entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Just recently, because of the lockdown, you saw how people were bitter and they were hooting on the highway due to the roadblock, and they were really shouting and complaining. You could see a lot of bitterness. Those are indicators of stress.
Yeah.
And when people are stressed, even the anger level goes high. And therefore, what we are trying to say, counseling comes in to an individual or even to the community to help them understand how this COVID-19 crisis is impacting on their emotions. You see, like now, the way you could see those people reacting, they were very angry. And the way even they are talking to the government, the way they are responding in the social media, you can be able to see angry people. That is emotion. What has triggered? And when you hear these people saying, there is no business, we are crossing very early, we are standing. So the whole idea here is, we cannot avoid COVID-19 crisis the way it is now. It is a problem we must embrace, that it is here with us. And therefore, we must be led. That's why I'm saying our ability to solve problems related to COVID-19 is going to be determined on how sober, how healthy our mind is. Our social relation, like now I don't know whether you are realizing that there is a lot of domestic violence. There is and even homicides. Couples killing each other.
Yes.
It is all as a result of the inability to overcome problems and difficulties, connections. You see, we are connected with very many people as entrepreneurs. An entrepreneur is a family man. And sometimes you can imagine a father who doesn't have an income. How do you expect this man to behave? You can expect a family that has needs, and you cannot be able to feed because your business run down. By the way, this also includes our churches. They are run by our pastors, whom we respect a lot. And sometimes it's there where probably they get a little bit of their support. Some of these churches probably they have premises they are hiring. And they need to maintain to the rent, isn't it? Yeah. So these are financial crises. And therefore, when we talk about the mental health in relation to COVID-19, we are asking ourselves very simple question. Yes. How is COVID-19 affecting our emotional status? Yeah. How is it affecting our mind? Because we are in a very stressful moment. And you know, okay, mature, stress is not bad. Stress is part of life. And that is why we don't talk about eradication of stress. We use the word management of stress. Yeah. I equate stress to be like a guitar. You see a guitar? The other day I saw you like music. Now a guitar has strings. Now let me now pose a little bit and ask you this question. When the strings are too loose, how does the guitar behave? Do you like the music?
It will create dissonance.
Yes, and you don't even like the music. Yeah. Now suppose it is also overtuned. What do you think is likely to happen? It will break. So that's why we are saying we need a moderate we need moderate stress for life. Because again, a stress-free life is an unproductive life. Yeah. So we don't want to tell our listener that stress is bad. Yeah. We need some degree of stress to move on.
In other words, we don't invite stress.
Yes.
But in the process of achieving things in life, we meet stress.
Yes, but you see, we also invite stress in many ways. For example, when you are in this business...
What I mean, when you sit down idly without doing anything, you are likely not to get to be stressed.
Yes, you cannot be stressed.
But if you are proactive, you are progressive, along the way, you're saying you meet stress and you need to know how to manage it.
Yes, because you will have something that is giving you some mental pressure.
Okay.
Some mental pressure. Yeah. And that is very healthy because it triggers your body to have the energy to either act or sometimes do a number of things that are positively going to improve your life. So to our entrepreneurs, we are not only saying that the stress we are going through is harmful. By the way, very many innovations have come up as a result of COVID-19. By the way, personally I have realized I have even become a better manager of my resources. Because this COVID-19 is almost telling me tomorrow is unpredictable. So it is going to help us to come up with better solutions. Look at even the way people have invented many things. We used to import beds. Now I can see people are thinking along that line. So I don't want to say that COVID-19 crisis is purely negative. But we need to be very careful because if we don't manage the stress level created by COVID-19, then we are likely to become victims of poor mental health. Right. I'm using the word poor because you can still have the mental health status is it can either be good or poor. Because when you talk about emotions, like now when I'm feeling nice, when I'm happy, when I am positive about life, you can say I have good mental health. But when the opposite is happening, I feel fearful, I'm stressing, I'm very pessimistic, very negative about life. I feel defeated, I feel frustrated, then you see now that is the negative part of it. And that is why even as we talk about stress, Mr. Mutua, we have good stress and we have bad stress.
Yeah.
So we cannot sit here to tell people that they are going to have a stress-free life. No, it is not possible. By the way, do you know, even for the young people who want to get married, see, I've told you I've stayed in marriage for some time. Getting married is inviting stress in your life because you have children. Now you have to start thinking, how will you go through the school? How will you build them a house? So you are creating that stress, but it must be managed.
Meaning, if we want to progress in life,
Yes.
Stress will be part of that journey.
Yes, and that good stress,
Yes.
we call it eustress. It's a good stress
So,
because it triggers good energy.
Good energy.
And it helps you to move on in a positive way.
In a positive way.
It is that good stress that helps you to identify a good opportunity. Then you think critically and then go to the bank, get a loan, which is now going also to give you some pressure to go and invest and get more profit. You see, stress is part of life, but good one triggers you.
Now, on this note,
And before you that, then there's a negative one.
I want to say this, and maybe I know our viewers.
Yes.
They want to. You can make some recommendations.
Yes.
I want to bring an imaginary Mr. or Mrs. X somewhere.
Yes.
And, this person has just lost her job or his job.
Yes.
Or maybe the business is down.
Yes.
I know there are people, especially in the matatu sector.
Yes.
Those who supply between Nairobi and some counties beyond the 5 counties.
Yes.
Maybe like Meru and other counties like Nyandarua.
Yes.
And even Murang'a here. They are not able to do their business. And these people have loans to
Yes.
pay.
Yes.
And they're listening to us
Yes.
today.
Yes.
And we are looking at how do we manage this situation and how do we maintain is it good mental health in the circumstances and avoid going to the extreme, to the negativity. Now, how do you advise that imaginary Mr. X and Mrs. X
Now,
who is about to be auctioned?
Now, listen. We may not offer direct solutions.
Yes.
We may not give you money to go and clear the loan. The work of the mental health workers and psychologists is to help you process your fears.
Yeah.
Is to help you to process your self-defeating emotions, is to help you to process those feelings that are impacting on you negatively, and preferably help you explore your situation, because our situations varies from one person to the other, and probably be able to identify ways of coming out of that situation and make the most appropriate decision to overcome the difficulties, and also help you to understand your surrounding environment. So because counseling is not just going out there and tell somebody come for money, come here, bring your children to my family, I will feed them. No. It's about helping people to understand their situations, their problems. And then once they understand their problems, you'll be able to see what is the most critical areas of their mental health that is greatly affected. For example, emotions. What kind of thoughts do they have? You see, like now somebody could be saying, I'm defeated because of the negativity. The negativity in the sense that, like let me, for example, give you an example. If we lose a job today, to both of us, this is Mutua and Stephen, and we go home with the dismissal letter, how we interpret that situation will determine our mental health tomorrow. Okay. Mutua, I know you are like religious. So you'll go and say, after all, how many people are surrounding me and they are not employed? I will also survive. So that one now brings what we call acceptance. that it has happened, but it's not the end of life. So tomorrow you'll wake up and say, because I have a car. So you have seen what people are doing. Like now you go to the bypass. You see now people who have turned their taxis
into a supermarket.
Mini supermarket. Yeah, into mini supermarket. That is creativity.
Or a grocery.
Let me tell you, that is what it means.
But Mr. Kamore, you are bringing very important issues, and I think our viewers are really getting helped.
Yes.
You have lost your job.
Yes.
You have your business is gone down because of the obvious reason. And as a counselor, you are not coming here for handouts.
Yes.
But how many people, because I've been in the pastoral ministry, I know.
Yes.
Most people who come for counseling, Mr. Kamore, they come not to have a paradigm shift or mentor change, perception. Most of them come with expectation that I want something at the end of this counseling.
Yes.
Even when they come to pastors for counseling, most of them will not just come for what you are saying. Now, how do we help people when they come for counseling? They don't come expecting that I want some handouts, because majority of the people, and I know as an expert, as a practitioner in this field, you've ever experienced those mentalities where people don't, what you're explaining is very important, that as I go for counseling, I am not going for handouts. I don't expect you to give me some money. Of course, you can give me something if you're in a position, but primarily role or reason for coming for that counseling session is not to get handouts. And most people, when you don't give them something, everything you told them, every counseling session, whatever you told them, they will not go back with it because they were expecting money or something.
I think as a professional in that area, I have a different perspective. One, people don't understand what counseling entails.
Okay.
And Mutua, that is why these programs are very important. We must make all efforts to destigmatize counseling. We must make all effort to make our listeners embrace counseling. You cannot embrace a service which you don't understand its meaning. Now, let me use an illustration. When you get sick, you go to a doctor. You don't go to a doctor to get money to pay your medical bill. You don't go to a doctor to get money to go and buy the medicine. You go to a doctor because he is a trained professional to help you deal with the nature of your illness. Okay? Now, the same attitude must be created to our society. Why do we need counseling? We don't go counseling for material gain. Counselors are professionals. They have been trained on how to help you, and I'm using the word process. You process, and our focus mainly is about those areas I'm talking about. Mental health is about the way you think. Sometimes the way you think can even make finding solutions difficult. For example, before you stop me, I was giving example of Mutua and Kamore who have lost the job. Then Mutua has a process that scenario positively. Tomorrow I'll find him now with his car. He say, after all, what do I have allowed me that can keep me going even as I wait for the situation to improve? And tomorrow you say, I have 2,000. I can buy cabbages there. Go and probably sell. You're talking to entrepreneurs.
Like God asked Moses, what do you have in your house?
Yes, what do you have?
Okay, or this woman, the widow, was asked by, is it Elisha, what do you have in your house?
Yes, and Moses said, use that Lord a strike, and a solution was found. That is what we are talking about. Sometimes when you are mentor, when you are confused, like now when you lose a job, when you lose your business, one of the things you might get shocked. You must now having fear of unfounded future. But when you come to a counselor, you'll be able to share your fear. And the good thing with going to counseling is because there is confidentiality. You are dealing with somebody who understands, who can be able to empathize with you and put himself in your shoe. Are you together? So you'll be able now to help you understand how is your situation affecting you, your mind? How is your situation affecting your emotions negatively? And how is all this determining the behaviors that you have? For example, you have taken it positive. Now, Steve, on the other hand, goes home with a mind that all is gone. That is the end of life. And therefore, the mind is locked. So what will I do tomorrow? Instead of waking up to process, to continue with life, I will continue sleeping. Because I'm now sinking into depression. I'm frustrated, feeling like the world has come to an end. So, but if I go, counseling is about therapy, it's about talking. And they always say, a problem shared is a problem solved.
Yeah.
So when you go for counseling, then you're able to process what is in your mind with that professional. You are able to share what you are feeling. And even you are able to reflect on how all that is affecting your behavior. Remember, I have told you, Mutua, there are key areas. You have to find, why am I finding it difficult to relate well with my family after the crisis? What is happening allowed me, and then you're able to face the reality. And that is what counseling is all about.
So you are saying this guy...
Probably you can advise.
You can take...
you can advise these people on where they can get some help in the case of critical issues.
Okay.
We have social workers.
Social workers.
We have... people with charity organizations. We have where they can get specialized, probably free help. So, but we as counselors, we cannot be able to provide resources directly because ours is to help you, but we can be very good in network. We can tell you, do you have something you think probably you can pay some loans, you can get some money in the bank, you can get a financial advisor, you can go to an entrepreneur, somebody who is good in spiritual issues. You can refer, we say connecting these people to where they can get that help that they really want.
Okay.
But people must understand that we don't go for counseling for material gain.
Yes.
So it is for consultancy.
For consultancy.
And we must tell the society, Mutua, it is not good for people to die in sickness when there are doctors in the country. People are fearing to talk about the truth. There are very many counselors who are trained in this country. And these counselors are just waiting. And I've seen people closing counseling offices. Why? Because they are ready to offer the service, but nobody is going. Simply because the society has stigmatized counseling.
Okay.
You see, like now if you come for counseling, then you say, oh, even that guy who is driving that big car has a challenge. You see, because from where we are coming from, we must help people. And that's why you can see media is doing a lot of campaign. They are bringing counselors on daily basis. And we need to help people to change their perspective about counseling. And they love it. They utilize these services. And I want to tell you, it is the time counselors come from the office and go to the community. We need to empower each and every person on issues about mental health. Okay. Parents must have some skills. Pastors must have some skills. Business people must have some skills. Because we need to play our role in minimizing the negative effects of COVID-19 and other incidences, critical incidences on the life of our people.
Wow.
By the way, including counselors themselves, they are also human beings. They get stressed. And they also even need to consume the services. That's why sometimes they go for supervision and other professional way of helping them grow and develop as individuals.
Wow.
Yes.
So what I'm getting that this particular business person who comes to you for help, or any client who may need some counseling, therapy, or a session, you're not coming for handouts.
Yes.
And we say that there are people who go to pastors expecting to be given money. Well, pastors can give you if they're in a position, but the most important thing is helping you to look inward
Yes.
before you start looking outward.
Yes.
That the first area of processing, the first area of battle that you need to win, it is your internal
Yes.
self.
Self.
Awareness. You explore areas where you can be able to leverage. Now, you talked about part of mental health is social wellness. In this particular pandemic, how do you advise these entrepreneurs who may be going through challenges in their businesses? How can they identify a social group or a social association where they can leverage on the issue of social wellness?
There are so many. The COVID-19 has really changed very many things. There are so many ways or so many avenues of accessing social wellness. I talk about the groupings, the connections that you have. One area is the church.
It's a church, yeah.
And I tend to think that the church plays a very important role in alleviating mental health.
And we have so many people, Mr. Kamore, who don't go to church because they are busy looking for money. They don't want...
You see, I like telling people, you can be busy looking for money, but remember, if your mental health is at risk, you will also lose the same money. They say that health is wealth. When the day you shall have the psychosomatic related diseases, you'll use all that money which you have for your treatment. And therefore, it is good to know that you need to be a holistic person. In counseling, we use a model we call biopsychosocial spiritual model, meaning that the spiritual dimension of a man is very important. Sometimes religion is very critical because it helps us to have meaning or to even interpret certain situations. And from a divine perspective. And there are some Christian or religious tools that are therapeutic by nature. Something like prayer. Sometimes you can even go to church and probably have a good pastor speaking about a contextual issue in the society. Like now, how to overcome stress in marriage. So you see, those are social groupings that can really help you to access these services. Now, people also have other social groupings. That is not the only one. You can also sometimes even go individually to seek for those services. So what I want to say is, even you can have family therapy. You can have sessions for a family, an entire family, where you are attended to as a couple and your children. So there are very many ways of doing this. But it also varies with the need and the interest of the person who is looking for the service.
Oh, wow. This is good.
And by the way, we also have groups for the entrepreneurs. There are people who have formed small business. And I personally have met several.
We have like the chamas.
Yes.
Those
and sometimes when they meet in those chamas, you can invite a professional. You can invite a counselor to help you process some of those emotions, some of those mental issues, so that you, as you carry out your business, at least you can have good mental health. You can feel stress. You can manage your stress. And that way, we are likely to have a very happy community of entrepreneurs.
Because like now, when you talk of social wellness,
Yes.
Most entrepreneurs are they are loners.
Yes.
They'll go out there because of the issues of time. And some of them who engage in those groups, they will engage into excess, the extreme side of it.
Yes.
Like into drunkenness and all that.
Yes.
But so what you're recommending is that we need to have a social context where we vent out, we associate people, not necessarily related to money issues.
Yes.
Like I think a family is part of that social context.
Yes, the family people
Like
can
if
talk.
if you have a supporting wife,
Yes.
supporting husband, but
Yes.
I believe maybe you can mention on this. Like now, when you go back home and you find that maybe your wife is not understanding the social, the economic challenges that you are going through, maybe your husband as well, and they don't seem to understand what you're going through. Now, what do you recommend for families when
Now,
it
for
comes to social wellness?
Now, for the families, I want us to know that there are pillars of families. One of them is good communication. Communication is very important, and people must learn to have dialogue. And in the family setting, it is good to ensure that people in the family communicate. Spouses should be able to communicate. And that communication must be based on the mutual understanding. Because you all can see the kind of environment we are in. And some things you can just see. But if you live in denial that you are already in a crisis and you want to maintain the same lifestyle that you have been having, even when there are crises, even when finances are not enough, then that is a family with a problem. So that is why we need to empower our family. And that's, I think, most of those things we'll be discussing them here in this program.
Now, what do you think of, I don't want to be gender biased, but what do you think of this wife? She knows the husband doesn't have a job. He lost his job, maybe recently. He has no other source of income. But they will still demand that they provide for the family. And I've had cases where men got so depressed and some of them committed suicide because of the pressure coming from the wife, while knowing very well that this man doesn't have a job, and maybe he has not had time to go and look for another job. For that matter, the business is down, and they still insist that they will provide for the family.
Okay, I try to think from my perspective, that issue is not only for women. But we can say mostly, probably we have more women who are in the home. But it also happened in a situation where, like now,
I'm speaking from a cultural context.
Yeah, from a cultural context.
Where the man is assumed to be the sole provider.
Yes.
From that cultural context.
Yes.
And that's why I said I don't want to be gender biased or to segregate the gender in this matter, but from this cultural context where the man is considered to be the main provider in the family.
I think families must embrace the truth that we are in a transition. The traditional mindset of a family has been changing, where we used only to have man as the sole provider. We are in a community or in a society today where everybody must be a player. We are in a society that is greatly empowering women to take up responsibility, and that is why we cannot talk about counseling without the cultural context. So we need to find out from those kind of families, why the denial? Why are they not able to conceptualize the reality? It could be ignorance, the background, where are you coming from? And there are very many factors to explore in that area. But my word would be, in case of a family like that, I have emphasized there is need for communication. And communication will solve very many problems. It is in the communication where you are able to express yourself. But you see, people still continue being adamant that they don't want to understand. Then what can we call that? It is simply ignorance and probably a form of denial. And therefore, they aggravate the problem. And that is why we need couples counseling. When this kind of a situation is required, the two people need to be brought into counseling so that they can be helped to explore their situation, because it varies from one family to another. To explore why the misunderstanding. And probably, I want to tell you that counseling is also part of empowerment. You see, you can be given information on how to solve issues. So when people go for counseling, we have several expectations. One, for example, we would expect them to change their perspectives, to change their understanding. It could be the problem is personality of the wife or the husband. So they need to be helped to understand their personalities. They need to be understood, to be helped to understand how to interact, even communication skills, and all those. That's why counseling is so. You have to look at it in a very broad ways, so that sometimes even issues about home management are part of counseling in terms of empowerment. So I want to advise family members, when we have issues of this magnitude, embrace counseling. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. When you go there, your perspective of issues might be changed. You might be helped to understand yourself. Why are we disagreeing? It could also be the level of expectations. What you expect from from your husband. If you have very high expectations that do not measure the ability of this man, then you frustrate the man. And when the man gets frustrated, that frustration will impact negatively on the family.
So I think I got one very important aspect in managing this crisis in relation to, being in business, entrepreneurs, and how it is affecting our socialization, specifically at home. You mentioned about communication, and I think, Mr. Kamore, especially men, they don't communicate so much about their financial status. When their business go down, they don't communicate to the family. So the family think that our dad, my husband is doing well, and in case there is a problem with the supply in the family or provision in the family, you find that the wife may not understand based on that ignorance you're talking about. And I think viewers, we are saying that communication is very important.
Yes.
And even accepting that there is a reality here.
Yes.
And looking inward and trying to process all those possibilities, maneuvering all those issues that you can do. In case, like Mr. Kamore talked about, if you have a car somewhere, maybe you have a car, you can change it into a grocery. And we have seen people do that. Explore, and we have even biblical examples. This widow who came to, is it Elisha or Elijah? He came to who? Is it Elijah? Elisha. And she was told, what do you have in the house?
Yes.
And she only said, I have only a jar of oil, and this is all that we have. And we have all those instances, like even Moses, when he was asked, what do you have in your hand? And even it's like God is demanding. God is just helping us to open our eyes to see what we have. And I think you have said in counseling, it is just to explore with the client of all those possibilities that people can leverage on and move on. So it is possible to survive this crisis.
Yes,
and that's why this program is here, just to encourage our entrepreneurs, people who are going through crisis. And also, as Mr. Kamare has talked about, even spirituality, it's good also to leverage on that. And those people who can pray, who can worship God, like what the Bible says in the book of James. Are you sick? Call elders. Are you happy? Sing psalms in here. Are you and it's like there is everything. You are supposed to do everything for every situation. Don't vent. Don't close up. Vent out. In worship, in praises, come to a counselor. And you've said something very important, that we don't embrace counseling.
Yes.
And you have so many entrepreneurs there who are dying alone.
Yes.
And you suffer lonely, silently, but your death will be public.
Yes.
Yes. So we are encouraging all these entrepreneurs just to come for counseling. And this program, Mr. Kamore, it is right in time.
Yes.
Actually, we are here just to talk to you. Don't die alone. We have our contacts there.
Yes.
Have you written any book in this area, Mr. Kamore?
Yes, I have. Okay, I told you I'm a researcher.
Yeah.
I have passion to reach out to our community. And I like being very practical in the way we approach life. For a long time, we have been remaining silent down there. One time I asked myself, why did you go for this training? What drove you into this career? It is because you need to reach out. So we write very many articles. There's a lot of, like now in the book, even in the art of parenting, I have even dealt with issues about burnout. And we are going, this is not the end. There are quite a number of series that are coming, because we must look for ways of reaching out in a very simple way to help our people to empower themselves. Probably what I can do, I can encourage the people in the entrepreneurship world to embrace counseling. And I have a few things I can highlight for them. One, they should be proactive. You see, don't just wait there until things go wrong. You know, people are like, you're saying, they are keeping quiet with their issues, trying to survive on their own. They have already withdrawn. And when we know that the world is full of knowledge, a program like this one is not meant for anything. It is just meant to empower you. It is free of charge. When you go there and listen, learn and have insight. But there are so many sources of knowledge. You can read books on stress management. You can listen to videos, and like now in my YouTube, I have a whole topic on mental health and entrepreneurship. Go and listen. It is free. There's nothing. The only thing you incur is the burdens. But it gives you a seminar that is self-healing. People must embrace those social networking. There are many people who have recorded issues about mental health. The TV programs are full of mental health issues. Please use that knowledge. There's a difference between listening and implementing. Be proactive. Don't wait until things go worse. Until you start now killing each other. Until you become sick and you are depressed and in the hospital. That is now the time now you go. Try to find out. Even to this counselor, find out how can they help you. If you can't reach them in the office, there are very many areas you can meet them, and they can always help you. Two, I also want to tell them this: destigmatize mental health. We are all vulnerable, Mr. Mutua. You and me are vulnerable. That is the truth. Even psychiatrists and psychologists and those people in the mental, they are vulnerable. And therefore, let us remove the shame associated with, and this gets associated with mental health. I have said mental health is not equated to mental illness. So we need to feel free to share our thoughts. You have said people close up. Therapy is about talking. It's about expressing your thoughts. It's about expressing your frustration. And by the way, as you do that, you are able to pour out those poisonous thoughts and a guidance of a professional. And that is why counseling is very important. So we must tell our people openly, our listener, remove the fear of seeking counseling. It is not a sign of weakness. Hello.
Wow, that is good.
Something else I also want to tell them. They must increase their level of self-awareness. That's why now you are saying, you know who you are. You know, self-awareness is from a Greek word, two Greek words. One is, we say it is from two words. The first one is, we call it, it's from the word out, okay. It is from two Greek words. One of them is self, which means your uniqueness. There are those traits that makes you different. There are those feelings that makes you unique. There are those things that are subjective to you as Mr. Mutua, isn't it? Then awareness. Awareness is knowledge. So when I understand myself as Stephen, I understand my personality traits that can make me vulnerable to stress. You know, personality traits, one of these days we will discuss these things openly here. When we see people with certain personality traits are vulnerable to mental health issues and other related sicknesses, and research has really proved that. You are able to understand your weaknesses. You are able to understand your strength. You are able to analyze your attitudes about life. And as an entrepreneur, this self-awareness is very important. Actually, we say, and I'm going to say it openly here, that self-awareness is the most important thing of being a champion in your business circle. Once I understand myself, it is, and that is what even Paul told Timothy one time. Timothy was a social entrepreneur. He was in the church. He was a pastor, isn't he? How was he told by Timothy? He was told, if you read 1 Timothy, verse 4 and verse 6, he was told, keep close watch on how you live and on your teaching. How you live and your teaching. And he was telling them, stay true to what is right. So he was telling them, when you do this, you are going to save yourself and you are going to save the community. And therefore, I want to encourage our people to learn to do self-care. Self-care is very important. Don't always be in business throughout. Have time with the family. Have time to go and relax outside. Have time to go for jogging. Have time for recreational. Have time to read a book, a motivational book. Have time to read the Word of God. Have time to go to the church. And I want to encourage the government. The government must support the churches because they play a very important role in the management and improvement of the mental health of its people. So self-care, Mutua, is very important. So we want to tell these business people, do not become workaholic. Don't just focus on the business from morning to evening. Look for something that you enjoy. Look for something that you love. Look for something that is relaxing. Personally, I love music. Personally, I like walking. I may not be very good in jogging, but I like sometimes walking. I like going and enjoying some good sceneries. I like going to the church. I like singing and praying. And those are things that really give me a lot of refreshment when I want to relax. Wow. And I think if the entrepreneurs embrace counseling, I want to tell them we can wear this COVID crisis and many other critical issues, because it's not the end. We don't know what might come after COVID, but we must be prepared. I think one of these days, we will have to bring a program here and equip people on how to survive crisis.
Wow, that's great.
Yes.
Thank you. Quite resourceful input out there, our listeners, and continue engaging us on our available platforms and our contacts there. And Mr. Kamore is always ready to respond to your questions, the comments, and things like that. You are welcome. And we want to appreciate you for taking your time. Now, Mr. Kamore, it's like we are saying that there are many, human development is supposed to be a multi-discipline approach, or should be given a multidisciplinary approach. That means we need to use a spiritual dimension and also the psychological aspects. And now, today we are focusing on that aspect.
Yes.
Because human development has many. There is also the medical, the physical part. And we are focusing on this particular approach, which is also important, not saying that it's the only one. There are other interventions. There are other disciplines that needs to be part of human development. We talked about spiritual, physical, and also...
we said physical, spiritual, biological, and even social.
Yeah, and that...
Those are the dimensions of our model.
And we also summarize by saying that is wellness,
Yes.
Mental health.
Yes.
It encompasses that.
Yes.
And so we are not saying that this is the only way to achieve human development.
Yes.
This is part of the interventions.
Yes.
And that's why we have an expert here, Mr. Kamore, who is a specialist in this area. And I hope this information is helping us to be able to be better humans and not to collapse or to be fatigued because of the crisis. We understand this crisis is real and it might be with us for a long time.
Yes.
And so we have to prepare ourselves, not assume the wait and see posture. We have to engage, we have to confront, and we are told we have to be ready for stress. There is bad stress and good stress. So we have to know how to manage our stresses, because...
And more so, I think this is very important. People in the entrepreneurship world, and every other listener who is listening to us, there is a very important thing that we need to do. We must nurture and increase our level of resilience. Actually, this is very important. I like, personally, it has taken me far.
I think you can make it as your parting shot.
Yes.
Yeah, the resilience as entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And resilience comes from a counseling session like the one you've had here.
Yes.
Because it helped me to change my perception.
Yes.
The way I see things.
Yes.
That this is not the end of life.
Yes.
The fact that my business has collapsed.
Yes.
I've lost my job. Now, counseling helps you to enhance our resilience.
Yes. You see, one thing I like telling people, you know, I used to work, but I stopped working. You know, when you are used to a consistent income and now you are out there to work on your own, you see, you must, you know, you have to change your psychology. Here you are waiting for money to come. Here you have to go and look for money. So you see, resilience here has come out very strongly in my life because it is the ability to bounce back. Now, business world and any life experience is not a straight line.
Yeah.
There is what I call the rhino perspective of life. That once you start moving, it will be good. Or there is nothing like that. Yeah. We must tell our people that life is characterized of mountains and valleys. And you must tell your mind, when I am hit, you know, resilience is like a tree. You know, look at a tall tree, and there's a big, you know, a strong storm. You know, what happens?
Bouncing back.
Yeah, it pushes this tree almost down.
That it comes.
But when the storm is over, it comes back.
Yeah.
We must always understand resilience is the ability to bounce back after any critical or incidents or after adversity.
Right.
Even this COVID-19, I want to tell my listener, we are bouncing back.
Yes.
You must put that aspect in you. It will help you to have patience.
Yes.
It will help you to be positive as you adjust your life, your lifestyle. And it will help you to wear out struggles. Can I add with a word from the book of God? This is the Bible. The 2 Corinthians verse 4. What did Paul say? That we are pressed, you know, every side. Look at the COVID-19. There is pressure all the side, in the business, in the family. So we have so many troubles surrounding us. But did you know what Paul said? But we are not crushed. Why are we not going to be crushed by COVID-19? My listener, is because we are going to build strong resilience. Through this program, somebody is going to come out strong. Yeah. Through this program, somebody is going to be rejuvenated. Yeah. Through these programs, people are going to remain to hold on their businesses. Wow. That is why we are here, Mr. Mutua. And I want to tell my listener, don't miss any of these sessions. Wow. Wow. Here is where we are going to walk. And this information is free. Yeah. Come, yours is only to make sure you have enough battles. And then we move and walk the journey together. Nothing is impossible. And then we commit our lives to God. You know, there's a verse I love in Deuteronomy that people should know that it is not out of our effort that we are going to become very, very wealthy. Yeah. I know you are a pastor and you know what Deuteronomy says, that it is God who gives us power to make wealth. So don't kill yourself trying to dig for wealth until you end up losing yourself. Always commit your businesses to God. Commit your enterprises to God. And He will give you direction. He says, if you commit our work to Him, He will establish our thoughts. He will give us healthy minds. And we are going to succeed in our entrepreneurs, in our enterprises. And I want to say this, that nothing can comment you, Mutua, in this world like your own thoughts. So take care of your mental health, because your mental health is your personal responsibility. It is not a destiny, it is a process. Let us work hard to protect it, because when we have healthy people, then we are going to have a wealthy nation. We are going to have a wealthy family. So God bless you for listening to us.
Thank you. We are ready to log out. I hope you've enjoyed this session. God bless you so much. Until we meet next time, I say my name is Wilson Mutua.
And I'm Stephen Kamore, the author, the researcher, and the counseling psychologist. You can always write your question there. We'll answer it.
Thank you. Shalom.